How's it going today?
It
What can I do for you?
not going very well, but we were wondering, we had just gotten the report from McIntyre earlier, and we were wondering if you had gotten the report or any of the evidence or anything.
I have not heard from Chief today yet, but I'm sure I will at some point. I've heard from everybody else. So
Okay.
it's like,
Well, again, I'm sorry. You know, I tried to hold everybody back and give you guys some time to breathe and stuff, but everybody started asking me, and I simply said I don't know. You know, so if you guys got some questions, then maybe call them. So I'm sorry if you got bombarded, but
No, it's fine.
you know, we just got a lot of people concerned, especially about my husband, because he's in a lot of pain from the incident that happened. And so well, we were coming to you today with this report in hand, and we also have put, you know, Mr. Copeland's evidence and our evidence on files that we can email to you. And, you know, in all honesty and bluntness, based off of this report and the evidence, at very minimum today we were coming to ask you for an order of protection. Obviously everything else would be up to your discretion. As
an order of protection like you would get at the clerk's office?
I
don't do those. You have to go
okay.
to the clerk.
All right, yeah.
But I don't know if you'll qualify for that because I don't know if there's a relationship because
okay.
there has to be a certain degree of kinship for an order of protection. I don't know. I don't do those. You go to the clerk's office in Scott County and request that paperwork.
Okay. Well, I mean, just based off of all, you know, everybody that's reviewed the footage and everything like that, the level of, I don't know, the level of violence in the situation, everybody sees that we need something. Again,
I can request a no contact order in the court case, but I can't do orders of protection.
Okay.
That's not
you know,
my tool chest.
Okay. Either way, you know, we just simply put, we don't feel safe. You know, we don't feel safe after this has happened, and the things that Mr. Copeland said during the altercation. It's very, very clear that Mr. Copeland wants to see harm come to us. Again, as I stated, and I will stay by it because his footage shows it, he came up to me and, you know, he told me, we're all waiting on you to put the pistol in your mouth. Here, you want to take mine? He takes it out of his holster and he tries to hand it to me. And then at another point in time, after he assaults my husband, he says that we're just all waiting on you to hurry up and move or die. And so, and then, you know, minutes long of all kinds of other things.
And you have that footage now?
I have that, yes, I have his footage that says that. You know, he says that in the footage.
When did you get it?
I got it on Friday, whenever I initially got the report. But
So you got it from him, or?
I got it from the chief.
So he gave it to the police, his footage?
Yes, he gave,
Gave
most of his footage. And I would like to very much clarify that there is footage missing. And I pointed it out, you know, once I had time to, you know, go back to my home and review his footage, you know, I went back and told him there's footage missing. Footage that's very conveniently missing that includes him, because it's separated into a couple of different clips for him, and I know why it's separated into a couple of different clips for him. And I can explain it to you in full detail right now. The first clip is whenever he's standing up by the road. He's called the sheriff before he starts recording. He's called the sheriff, let him know I'm, you know, allegedly trespassing, destruction of property and stuff. He wants him to come down. So after that first call, he starts recording me. I have since found out that based on the angle of the recording and where he was standing and everything like that, there's actually no way that Mr. Copeland knew that I had a firearm on me. And he stops his footage, the very first video, he stops the footage and you can hear him, I need to go get something from my property. He stops his footage because he's going to get his firearm. And then in the second video, he starts, I guess because he doesn't want anybody to see that he went and got his firearm, even though he's wearing it in his waistband very publicly. The second footage is just him approaching me with that firearm, you know, telling me to stop and everything like that, clearly trying to intimidate me. As I told you before, I don't say anything about him having a firearm on him. I don't even acknowledge it because I know he has rights as well. So, and then, you know, he's going and, you know, verbally berating me for the most part. Again, I will admit to saying some snarky things, but they're not they're not grotesque and abusive, you know, just little snarky comments. But then there is, and you know, there's the fence thing going on, and he stops it, and then it starts again. And in the very beginning of the footage, I actually saw that the you know, he tries to say that I throw the fence at him, and then that's what his cut on his ankle is. You can see in the beginning of the footage that he actually doesn't have a cut on his ankle, and he gets a cut on his ankle because he's kicking the fence in, you know, in shorts. And so, of course, you kick barbed wire, your ankle's going to get scratched. It shows him kicking the fence in the beginning, so at no point did I even actually cause any harm to him. And then whenever that footage ends, he oh, my ankle's bleeding, you assaulted me, cool. And then he stops the footage because he's going to call the sheriff the second time. He calls the sheriff the second time. Whenever he gets off the phone with the sheriff the second time, that's whenever he says he starts recording again. And he's recording all the way from when he gets off the phone until the sheriff shows up after I called him. So if you're curious as to about roughly about how much footage is missing from Mr. Copeland, it's from when he calls the sheriff the second time to around about whenever I called the sheriff the first time. So that's about as much footage as he should be submitting, but the footage that he submitted conveniently starts with, "It's just my husband in the creek."
I always say that. I know
It's
he's
just my
recording.
husband in the
when
creek.
he pulls the gun, and I'm like, oh, now you're brandishing it, and it talks about rights. He's recording me while he has the gun. I'm gonna say he can say I'm not. I wasn't actually recording. I don't know anybody that pretends to record when they feel they need to pull a gun out. Just
so if you're wondering about how much footage is missing, it's roughly about that much between those two calls to the dispatch.
Okay, so what'd you bring with you today?
The report.
Is it for me? Or is this your copy?
It's my copy. Of course, you can, make copies and stuff if you'd like. McIntyre said he was going to get it to you. But
and you have Scott County's report?
as far as I know, they didn't. I don't have one for them.
Did they come out?
The sheriff showed up initially, but it seemed like they passed off, all jurisdiction over to Townley.
Townley showed up.
Townley showed up at the end. So.
I mean, we don't know for sure.
Okay. Can I make a copy of this,
Of course.
please? Okay, did you bring anything else for my information? I mean, obviously, I'm going to call Scott County and I'm going to call McIntyre and see if there's, tell them I've got this report, but see if there's anything else evidence-wise that I need.
Yeah, of course, I can, I can send you my videos. I can forward you the email that I sent to Townley that includes my videos, and I've also put his videos in an email that I can send you as well.
Okay. So are there any questions that you have about my process?
Not
Because I felt like I was pretty clear when y'all came before, and I took at least 30, maybe 45 minutes to visit with you last time, and now we're talking again, and I'm fine with that. I'm just wanting to know what I did or said to you that made you feel like I wasn't going to take you seriously, because on Facebook, that's what the post was.
well, because in all bluntness and, no longer in all honesty, whenever you issued a warrant for my arrest, you had no evidence. You just had Mr. Copeland's statement, no witnesses, no nothing, and that was an
This is
alleged.
not related to that, though.
I know.
This is a separate incident. You can't use prior as evidence on a...
Well, no, I'm just saying the way it was handled. The way it was handled is the reason that I feel like it's not being taken seriously, is because Mr. Copeland comes in.
Well, you realize I don't have anything until you just brought this the first thing I've received on it, right?
Okay.
So I don't know what gave you the idea that I'm not going to take it seriously, because I took a lot of my time that I don't have to take to visit with you and listen to you about it. So I don't really appreciate getting name dropped on Facebook by you saying that.
Oh no, you're misunderstanding. That was somebody else who
No,
name
I
dropped.
mean, no, I had mentioned that I didn't,
No, it was her.
But again, that's just the way that it's being handled. He admitted.
Well,
he admitted
the
whenever the sheriff.
The only way for me to handle it is to gather all the information before I make any decision. And I told you that before you left. I have to have all the information to make an informed decision.
Okay.
I've got your side. I needed this, which thank you. Okay. But I need to talk to the people that were there. I need to talk to the sheriff. I need to talk to Wyatt and see, if I've got any questions about this. I need to, and I told y'all over and over again, my main priority was to keep everyone safe. Because I didn't want anybody to get hurt, and that includes you and your husband. I don't want anyone to get hurt.
Okay.
Right?
Well, he's already hurt.
And so I've got Mansfield and 5 other cities and Scott County that I do all this for. So this isn't the only case that I have either.
I didn't think that.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure that you understood that what I was trying to tell you last time, and what about that you didn't understand or made you feel like I wasn't going to take it serious.
Okay.
I mean, that's because then I get disturbed over the weekend when I'm trying to take a break by the news media telling me that I'm being name dropped on Facebook and all these things, which that's fine. You can do whatever you want, but it doesn't help you any. It doesn't make me want to prioritize this any for you if you're telling me your side of the story, but then out of the other side of your mouth telling the public that you don't think I'm taking you serious. I never gave you any indication that I wouldn't take it serious, that I'm aware. This has nothing to do with what happened before. It's a different set of facts. It's a different occurrence.
Okay.
Is that, am I being unfair when I say that?
Do you know why Billy has been doing all this stuff? Is
Do you know
because
why
you
he
charged
feels-
us with no
Do you know why
evidence.
he feels like
he
he
feels
can do this?
empowered.
That
No, you might not have done
whenever
anything illegal,
a disorderly
but you
conduct
empowered
when
him
this all
to
started?
feel like he can do whatever he wants.
I also had a no contact order going both ways.
Right, and we never contacted him.
And why do you think I did that? That was the most important thing to me. Why do
And
you
it-
think that was the
well,
case?
And it didn't do anything.
was
Because I
it
didn't want
though?
anybody to get hurt.
Because whenever the disorderly conduct that came to court that, came to the no contact order, you felt the need to offer Mr. Copeland and Mrs. Copeland a plea. And then, pursue the full extent of the charges for us.
Well, I also offered you guys a plea. You
We
didn't.
received no plea. We
I
received
talked
no
to you
plea
about it
offer.
before we had a trial, and you said you wanted to go to trial.
Yes, I wanted to go to trial because I was on my own property. It was his pig on my property. I didn't feel like there was actually any case for me to receive a disorderly conduct charge. So yeah, I wanted to go to trial. Just like I wanted to go to trial whenever I went to court for, breaking a no contact order that I knew I didn't break. And I'll stand by that. I did not drive by and flip him off, and then also everybody tells me you have the right to do that. You can't be arrested for that. It's
When
just
there's
yes,
no
I want to go to trial
When there's a
whenever
no
I
contact
don't.
order in place, you can't.
For what evidence? Again,
Okay,
there was no
again.
evidence. Only his testimony. And a week before you
I
put him
will-
on
I
the
will
stand,
always stand
he
by. I did
lied.
not drive by and flip him off because I do not want to live in conflict. I have no problem following the law, as you guys will continuously see in all the evidence. I have no problem. I don't want to live in conflict. And so, again, if you want my real answer on whether or not I feel like you're handling this fair, my answer is no.
Then why are you here?
Because you're the prosecutor.
This is your job, sir.
If you don't want to
If
do it,
someone
hand it off to
commits a
somebody else.
crime, you're supposed to pursue charges against them to keep citizens safe. He not only admitted to everybody there that he did it, my husband can't even stand up because he's in so much pain. His hands are covered in blood. Mr. Copeland is wearing a gun like a thug. And even the sheriff, sir, please put your gun down on the ground before you approach me. They didn't even know I had a firearm on me. I was sitting there talking to the sheriffs for minutes before, and I saw them ask Mr. Copeland, please put your firearm down. And I was like, oh, I thought in my head, okay, because I never carry a firearm. I was like, they might feel uncomfortable if they know I have one. I asked the sheriff, would you like me to set my firearm down? He looks at me very surprised. Where is it? Yes, please. And that's why I have no problem following the law. I have no problem treating people with respect and not wanting to live in conflict. The person that has been the problem this entire time is Mr. Copeland. He does not like being held accountable for things that he does, and he's been going on this tirade this entire time to try to make me look like a bad person, and so far it's worked. You guys believed him every step of the way, like, oh, she's harassing his kids, she's going by and flipping him off. No evidence, no witness, no anything, but you felt the need to believe him. And so you empowered him to where we're at today. He feels like he can do whatever he wants, record it, and you guys still aren't. This happened almost 2 weeks ago now. And
He was charged that last time too, correct?
No, Mr. Copeland has received no charges. He doesn't even receive tickets for his animals being out. Mr. Copeland has received no tickets as far as I'm concerned for anything.
Well, how did I get a no contact order for him on y'all if there was no charge?
Because the charges were put against all of us for disorderly conduct.
That's right. They all were.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. That's right. So yeah, he was charged.
And then offered
And
a plea.
pled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he was convicted. So, you know, I get your frustration or whatever, but again, this is the first, aside from when you came in last week, this is the first official document I've got to go on. So,
Whatever happened to that false police report that he filed?
It's in there.
No, I mean, what did y'all do about that?
what do you mean, the one where you say there's no evidence?
No, the
No.
one that was there
No,
was evidence, video evidence, and Officer Rob.
I was arrested on a Friday, and the Wednesday after that, he came by and he made another report saying that, oh, well, she was outside and her husband's trying to pull her in and all this stuff. Officer Rob comes down to my house, you know, pretty much accusing me of doing all that. He finds out that I've hired a cell because I was arrested on Friday, and his tone changes. I have the voice recording of that as well, and you can hear his voice change. And then he decides to do an investigation, finds out that, you know, based on video evidence, Mr. Copeland was being unsubstantiated. The statement he made was unsubstantiated, but what would you know, his statement matches my video. Meaning nothing
No, his
happened.
video matches your statement.
Yeah, and it's just like
Nothing
because nothing happened. But I
But what
pressed
he
for
said
my
happened.
lawyer to bring that up in court to show everybody that Mr. Copeland is not a reliable narrator. That every single time he makes a statement, there are fallacies in it, and it wasn't brought up in court, and nothing happened.
So in that scenario, when he was pulling you inside,
No,
Supposedly.
we didn't go
I'm
outside.
saying that's what Mr. Copeland said. Mr. Copeland said he walked by my house and I was setting up all ways to harass him, and that my husband was trying to pull me inside, and all kinds of just tall tales. And then what would you know? You look at the video. I'm just standing inside my home, recording them as they walk by, and that was it. It was like a 28-second video or something like that. Because again, as I tell everybody, whenever they walk by my home, they want to run down and they want to say all kinds of stuff happened that never happens, because I'm not doing any of that. And the reason that I record them is because they do that. Is because they have went out of their way to make false reports. The first report
This is everything.
started with his children. You know, saying like she was coming out and cussing it, you know, and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's serious. That's extremely serious. And as I tell everybody, if you receive that report for the safety of his children, it should have been investigated. But it wasn't. It was just taken at face value. And it's like, and if something like that isn't going on, it also needs to be investigated, because if somebody's making up lies about people harassing their children, that needs to be known as well, because that just wastes a whole bunch of people's resources. If something that's going on that somebody says is serious isn't actually going on, then that's just wasting everybody's time.
well,
And so that's on Mr. Copeland. He's made multiple false reports, one of which has been investigated to, you know, everybody that it's false. And, you know, and again, and he assaults my husband, and he's still walking free. And so that's why I don't feel like I'm being taken seriously. It is not an insult to the way that you handle your cases or the way that you handle your office or your position. It's just a personal feeling based on the way that this has all been handled, and the way that, again, Mr. Copeland has faced little to no consequences for anything that he's done.
Well, he did enter a plea, so I mean, he has had consequences, and there was a no contact order going both ways for a year, which I thought was ideal, because it protects everybody.
Yeah, well, he had no problem respecting that no contact order.
But, and this is just, you know, it's ongoing. It's ongoing, and it's both ways. I mean.
It is not both ways.
They'll have a dispute over a boundary, okay? And it's not just one-sided. There's two sides to every dispute.
I understand that there's two sides to every dispute.
And both sides are heated.
But
For it to escalate to the point that it did.
No,
concerns
one
me.
person escalated. We didn't do any escalation.
Mr. Palmer,
And that is a
video.
complete mischaracterization. Watch
If
the
you watch
videos.
the video,
I don't
there's
have the
only
videos yet.
one person that's heated.
I promise you, as soon as I get them, I'm gonna watch them.
There's only one person that's heated, and because that's how he got me up in the disorderly conduct. Is I'm not a person that just loses my cool. You know, just, well, this isn't, you know, like, I'm not a person that does that. I will tell everybody, I grew up in a pretty abusive household. I'm probably pretty much stuck in a trauma response. And so whenever things get serious and things get crazy and stuff like that, I don't just start getting all crazy as well. And so, you know, it may be, you know, you may see it as both sides and stuff like that, but I mean, as far as the property line goes, I went and got a survey before I even moved the fence. I went and got a survey before I even moved the fence. They initially told me it was okay. Again, they decided that after their pigs kept getting out, that was the one part of their problem, and then, you know, and then they just decided that it wasn't okay that the fence had been moved. It wasn't even a dispute in the beginning. They said it was okay to have the fence moved, and then they just changed their mind. And again, as everybody says, if he doesn't like it, he can go get a survey, and if the two surveyor companies don't match up, then they can take it out in court. Like, why is this having to be pushed back on me?
Because you own the property that's part of the boundary, you have to be a party to it in court.
I mean, I understand, but again, it's just everybody tries to make it sound like I'm the one with the problem. I'm not the one with the problem. I didn't decide to, you know, make the property line right there.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and bringing this to me. I am gonna look at it, and I am gonna take it seriously.
Okay. Would you like me to send the footage that I have, or are you just gonna ask for?
That's all been turned over to them, they'll get it to me.
Okay. Okay, well, so other than that, it's just, you'll look over it and you'll make your decision based on what you see?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Alright, well then I guess if that's all, then we'll be on our way. Are you ready?